Boom. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great day, great morning, great afternoon. How's everyone feeling today? I'm going to pull up my quote for today to see what we have here. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everyone doing here? I see Ruby. I see Pamela. I see Nimish. I see Olivia here. I see Peggy Lim. I see Felicia Chapman, Polly. I see Richard. Let's see, is Jane in here? Jane, I know you had an issue getting in yesterday. I see David. I see Evelyn, and I'm actually going to enable transcriptions as well. I see Daluz. I see Coach Sandy Still. I see Cindy Sharp. I see Jeff. By the way, for those of you that joined us on the Digital Wealth Creation Challenge a couple of months ago, let me know if you joined us, right? Because we're probably going to do that challenge again. And we have an amazing theme song that Jeff actually created. I got a chance to hear it for the first time this morning. I think you guys will love it. So I actually can't wait. It's got some amazing guitar riffs in it and everything else. I can't wait to share it with you guys. So we actually don't even have a date for that yet. So once we have a date, we'll definitely let you know. I was listening to... All right, so Isabel says she was there. Let's see, who was there? Nan says, I'm here. Still had the micro office background. No worries. Actually, Nan, no worries. You can keep it up if you want. But you can also go in and remove it by, in the same manner that you put it up, if you go over to that area and you hit none for your backgrounds, right? Isabel says she was there. George Tolan says he was there. All right. Susan says, great shirt. Yeah, you know what? I thought that I'd do something a little bit different today. It's starting to get a little bit colder out. So I said, maybe if I put a Hawaiian shirt on, the weather might improve there, right? What do you think about that, Susan, up in Canada? So I said, hey, wishful thinking. Speaking of that, I was thinking about you guys early this morning. I had been up maybe since about 4:30 or so. And I was listening to Wayne Dyer. And one of my favorite quotes by him is, he says, true love means you love a person for who they are, not for who you think they should be. So true love, that's like really unconditional love, right? So we tend to have this unconditional love with our children, maybe with our parents. Hopefully our parents have it back with us. But as I'm listening to this, and he says, true love means you love a person for who they are, not for who you think they should be. I thought, man, that would make an awesome topic. Like, how do we move about this universe, the being who we want to be, who we deserve to be, but also still being okay with the people that come into our lives if they are not on board with our mission, meaning if they're not on board with some of the goals and some of the dreams that we have, right? And not taking it too personal, not taking ourselves too personal. So that's going to be a topic that I think we should definitely cover. I see a ton of people that are coming in. George just came in. Now, today's topic is going to be one that every single individual here can get benefit out of, all right? I'm actually going to open up pretty soon because we've got an amazing guest that's coming on, someone that's part of the KCF team, someone that many of you have probably spoken to or seen at the KCF Live events or interacted with in the community to some degree. So before I bring her on, I want to kind of share a quote that's going to be kind of fitting for the topic. So today's topic is going to be, like, as we're going into the new year, there's so many different things that we probably all want to do. Who here has new goals, new dreams, new ambitions for the new year? Let me know in the chat box. Like, and what are some of your goals? What are some of your dreams? What are some of the things that you're looking to do in the new year here? All right. Michelle says, starting on them now. I love it. I love it. George says, I have so many, not waiting for the new year to come for that. That's beautiful. I love it. Like, what are some of the things that you guys are doing here? What are some of the... One of my goals for the new year is to learn how to fly a plane. So to learn how to fly a plane, to learn how to fly a Cessna plane, that's actually been on my list, believe it or not, for I want to say 15, 20 years. And it's been on my list so long because I truly didn't say, there's two reasons why it's been on my list for this long and why I haven't done it yet. Can anyone guess? Who wants to guess why I haven't learned how to fly a plane yet? All right, Tanya says goal is to publish my first series. My first goal is 2,000 a month. Gary says time, fear of heights. No, I don't really have fear of heights. Yeah, one of you guys just got it. Cipriano says priority. I literally haven't made the decision yet. It's a thought. There's a difference between something that you want to do, right? I've wanted to do this for 15 years. A neighbor of mine who lived maybe about 4 or 5 minutes up the street in our old neighborhood, he had this amazing plane. He had a yellow Cessna plane. Actually, I think it was his son. His son had the plane, and he would, every once in a while we would see where he would land it, right? And they had huge yard. Their driveway was literally from the entry point to the driveway to their house probably took a minute or so, probably about 90 seconds to drive into it. So they had a huge yard and they had a landing strip in the front. I guess they had it built out or something. And you would see him either taking off as you're driving by or landing. And it was just and I had this dream, this goal of wanting to learn how to fly a Cessna way before I ever saw my neighbor, right? So this was confirmation. When we moved to this neighborhood, I'm like, oh my God, this is confirmation. But the reason why I haven't done it yet is because, as you just said, it wasn't a priority. And there's two reasons more specifically. Number one, I didn't make the decision. I just didn't make the decision. I'm going to learn how to fly and this is it, right? I didn't make the decision. Time wasn't a factor. The money's not a factor. Fear of heights is not a factor. There's nothing else that's a factor other than I didn't make a decision. And then the second reason why I haven't learned yet is because I haven't said yes to it and no to some of the other things. Hopefully that makes sense. No to some of the other things that would prevent me from doing it. I haven't said no to spending time on something that would take away from me simply going in and researching, hey, what are some of the flight schools that are close to me here in North Carolina? Because we have a ton of airports out here. Many of them are close in proximity. Some of them are smaller. We've got RDU, Raleigh-Durham International, that's 15 minutes away from me. We have a ton of airports that are here. So I haven't, so oftentimes the way to get past procrastination, and this is just one tip our guest is going to talk about. She's going to really give us some great examples of breaking through procrastination and kind of staying focused. But one of the ways is just making the decision. And then the second way is just being better at saying yes to the things that are going to move you closer to that decision and no to the things that are not going to move you closer to it or that's going to push you away from it. All right. So our quote for today is, too many people spend too much time trying to perfect something before they actually do it. Instead of waiting for perfection, run with what you go and fix it as you go. Right. And that's from Paul Arden, from the book, Whatever You Think the Opposite. So whatever you think the opposite. So again, he says, too many people, and I'll actually post this in the chat box here. So he says, too many people spend too much time trying to perfect something before they actually do it. Instead of waiting for perfection, run with what you go and fix it as you go. Now, the beauty of this is, for most of you here, I know there's folks with a variety of different businesses. Man, most of you have digital businesses. So we can easily just go and then perfect it, come back and improve on it later on as we get the feedback, as we start to get some results, as our confidence starts to build, right? As we get the audience that supports our mission and our dream. So right now, you may have seen where on social media for the last couple of months, I've been making it more of a goal to be visible, create more videos, go live on TikTok, on Instagram, on You guys won't see me dancing on TikTok unless my daughter, every once in a while, my 15-year-old gets me into the act with one of hers. And actually we did one at Josh's wedding. But being more visible on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and just making the decision and then just going with it. Having no clue as to what I'm doing 100%, but still knowing that I can get the content out there and I can come back and I can revise it later. I can totally delete the videos if I wanted to. I can always improve on the message. I can improve on the way that I'm delivering it. I can improve on the aesthetics, the way that it looks at any time, right? So with that said, I think, Caroline, I think I see you there. I'm going to make you...
Hey, how you doing?
Boom, doing great, doing fantastic. How's everything going with your mom? I know you had an appointment with your mom.
Yeah, so all the appointments have shifted, but now we're 4 hours ahead of East. So just when do your clocks change in Eastern? Is it this weekend?
I have no idea. Jim Rohn says don't major in minor things, so I let I let my phone tell me, and then
So yeah, so the appointments are sort of it was slightly on the edge, so I drove in by 12:03 here.
Okay.
So yeah, this is normally one of them. Yeah, it's all good. She's doing really well. Yeah, we're all great. But my sister comes back from vacation today, so she can take on some duties now. Now she could normally do this meeting, this appointment that Mum has on a Wednesday. So yeah, it's all good. Yeah,
you have a sister?
I do have a sister. Yeah, older sister, 2.5 years older.
Very cool.
Yeah, we are seriously different. Like you would never believe we came from the same parents. Not in a bad way, but we're so different. It's unbelievable. So yeah, she's just been to the Maldives for all of October.
Oh wow.
Which is great. So she's sort of retired and she's only a couple of years older than me.
Nice. Okay.
Weird. Wow. No kids and a very nice husband. So yeah, she's pretty just really different to me. And so we sort of don't see each other too often, even though she's only like half an hour away.
Right.
But when we do, we get, it's just one of those, when Lenny the Boss talked about you can love someone in your family, but then you sort of see them maybe whatever 4 times a year. It's sort of a bit like that, but it's interesting, because even though we are really different, to the extent that the energy and vibe just must be so different that we don't, we just don't collide at the same time, or come into contact at the same time. But when we've got anything big going on, when we were losing Dad and when we've had some stuff going on with Mum, we join up as if we're just the same person in terms of our values and our way of thinking. So it's really interesting. We'd never have any conflict, if it came to decisions that we had to make with Dad.
Yeah.
That's good. Sometimes, and he had Alzheimer's. And sometimes we mess things up, keeping him longer, and anyway, we never, even when we both messed up in different times, we'd never have conflict. But it's one of those relationships we sort of not bothered about each other particularly. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, that is really...
but mum said to me that she'd flown back and she was ill, and so I'm straight on the phone just to check she's all right. So blood is thicker, isn't it, than anything. But yeah, I'd do anything for her.
Yeah, it's amazing how people come together in times of need. Well, sometimes, right? Because not all families are like that. And then you also will have 1 or 2 troublemakers in the families every once in a while, right?
Yeah, that was her.
I've got a niece that's like that. Oh my God, she is interesting. I'll leave it at that. So, all right, so let's kick off with our guest here. So I'm going to introduce her, and I'm going to actually ask her to unmute, and then, boom! I just gave you the ability to unmute. So with us today we have Noor Hasmi, who is, and Noor, I hope I have your last name correct. Let me know if
you don't, but yeah.
All right, give it to me. Give it to me 100% so that I have it right, because there's nothing worse than pronouncing someone's name for years, right?
Yeah. It's Noor Hashmi. So it's
Hasmi.
Hashmi.
Boom, I got it. Okay. That will be the last time I get it wrong.
Yeah. And by the way, on that note, I was the troublemaker in my family.
Okay.
was.
Wow. I would have
Yeah.
never guessed that. I would have never
I
guessed
wouldn't
that.
either.
So
Yeah.
how many people have ever had a chance to talk to Noor, maybe at a KCF Live event or maybe on Zoom, or because she is part of actually our team. Michelle says she's great. Noor's wonderful. Peggy says me. Sue says I haven't. Brian Keller says me. So if you guys have ever had a chance to talk to her, you know that she is an amazing sweetheart who has a ton of talent, right? And I like to say hidden talents because I'm always finding something new out about Noor. We've probably been working together for, I don't even know, has it been about
1.5 years?
I was going to say about 18 months or so.
Yeah.
And I'm always finding something new out about her, which I think is really cool, right? You have to have these surprises. I think you get in trouble when you know everything at once, right?
Yeah.
So, Noor, you're actually in Malaysia.
I am. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
in Malaysia.
All right,
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I got that right. So, which means that you were 12 hours away from me. So right now it's like 8:15
Yeah.
p.m. for
PM.
you,
Yeah.
which is really cool. So breaking through procrastination and staying focused, I think it's something that everyone has an issue with, all of us, right? What are some things that we can do to kind of be different? We want to be
Yeah.
aliens, like we want to be totally different. So when someone says they've been procrastinating on something, we want to be able to be the person that says, I don't.
Yeah. I definitely, procrastination is like a wide topic. It's just one of the things that, you know, is interwoven into everything we do and shows up in everything as well. But this topic's wide. But what I want to touch on today, and just bear with me, I'm going to do a few exercises with you guys as well, is to understand where it's coming from and help you take that first step to be able to just even get a small break.
Okay.
And if anybody has spoken to me on the KCF Live, as Ty was saying, that's exactly the advice I give about running with what you have and fix it later. I've talked to so many perfectionists. It's unbelievable. So quick intro. I am actually a breakthrough coach and accountability strategist, and also a publishing coach with Ty. So my life has not been easy, despite being born into a very affluent family, because it was a chaotic home. There is actually enough to write a few books about it and make a movie too. But I won't go into too much detail because I don't want to give anyone the excuse of not reading it, because they already know whatever there's to know. So again, as I said, the topic we're going to talk about is what we are touching on. It's a small piece of that, but it's the building block of this whole thing. So, you know, there are days when you wake up, and you feel like you're going to conquer the world, right? Or
Yeah.
at least check off that one thing off that darn to-do list. But as soon as you sit down, a feeling of overwhelm, it just washes over you. And before you know it, you've spent hours with little to no progress. And just to avoid those kind of days, you would then put things on the side and fall into the pattern of procrastinating. That was the story of my life till I turned things around for myself, with a lot of help, of course. As Ty was mentioning, and he said, you have to make a decision, right? You have to have a clear goal. If you don't know what you want, you will be weak and unfocused. And that's why we have like so many people doing jobs they hate or that have no meaning, but that's okay because somebody needs to, do them. The jobs need to be done. But then if you have a goal to, then your way forward is crystal clear, right? Nothing will keep you from it. As the saying goes, the whole world will step aside for any man if he knows where he is going, right? And it's easier if you do what you love. But to achieve clarity on what you want in life, you need to drown out the noise around you, as well as the noise that's within you. And trust me, nothing stops us more, nothing makes us procrastinate more than the voice that is within us. So we have found ourselves, I don't know how many of you have, I have found myself in circumstances where I've felt constantly judged and berated for our lack of tangible achievements and success, right? As a result, we have imposed the same standards on ourselves, thinking that, we should have become a doctor or a lawyer or, president or CEO of something. And then we would have been happy, right? That something would suddenly be all right, and that the world will suddenly become all sunshine, rainbows, and flying unicorns. So we know that's not the case. We all know that's not the case. However, that little voice in our head that our parents, teachers, uncles, aunts, and other well-meaning people have drilled into us still bedevils us into believing so, right?
And I think that drives us nuts, right? I mean, it creates all types of insecurities and doubts and everything. I was talking to one of my neighbors here, actually, who is from India. And he was saying his parents, he's an entrepreneur. So he was saying that his parents and traditional Indian families have always pushed him to be either a doctor or go into another profession, right? So he actually held this from them for years, that he wanted to be an entrepreneur. And even as he started his business, he kind of held it. And when they found out, they kind of did an intervention. They had his uncle come in and, wanted to kind of talk him out of this thing. And he said it was one of the worst feelings ever. And this guy ended up doing something that he really loves, right? He actually runs a social media company, and ended up doing something that he really, really, really loves, him and his wife both. So I think you're right. When you get those pressures from your family, from your parents, from society in general, it makes it even harder to move forward.
Yep.
And sometimes you're not even conscious of it. It becomes subconscious. It becomes sort of part of your personality.
Like my upbringing, especially my adolescence and when my young adulthood, it's replete with examples like where I was constantly told that I would amount to nothing.
Wow.
Because I was a crazy one, but I will never become this or that, go to this school or get that degree, make that X amount of money, all that kind of stuff. So this created an enormous amount of pressure and stress, not to mention toxic shame on me that I found unbearable and intolerable, and a burden that when I unloaded it made my therapist a lot of money.
Yeah.
So for many years of my young adult life, I absolutely despised society in general for this. Like, it clouded my judgment with respect intentions of certain people. That is, I thought that certain people in my life were being selfish when they were really just victims themselves, maybe of the same expectations that were forced upon them.
Yeah. And you see that
they were,
So you said you're young adult. Do you mind me asking, like, at what age was it when you finally realized, you know what, I'm me, like, I'm going to do what works best for me and not let the pressure kind of cave me in too much?
Yeah. So I was always the rebel, got in trouble because of that all my life.
Yeah.
When was the time that I said, no, my life, my terms, I'm going to do it the way I am going to, I want it to be, was when I was 32.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm 44 now, so it's been 12 years.
and I asked because your story sounds a little bit like mine. I was 27, right? So not too far. away, when I just said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm going to do what I want to do. And that was when I had my first child.
Yeah.
So it was, yeah. So I'm just curious. And I see that oftentimes, right? When it is the person and they're getting this pressure and they just don't, like, they just don't want to conform, because that's what it is. I think it's like the conformity is what, like, we want to do our own thing. And oftentimes it's for the best.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is later, a little bit later in our 20s or early 30s.
This is me with one daughter, single parent, divorced, figuring out and saying, okay, put my foot down. This is not how I'm going to live my life. Yeah. So my entrepreneurial side, all of that was a journey that started later. But even then, you know, all that I've experienced kept me stuck for a very long time till I actually went through the process, a tiny bit that I want to take you through today. Okay. That process helped me break through that mindset finally, to be able to like stop procrastinating, take action. You know, that is the biggest thing for me, because you won't be able to do this in an hour or even a day. Yeah. It will take time. All change takes time.
Yeah. And it's continuous.
It's continuous, right? Yeah. Who I was 12 years ago when I decided I want to do this, I'm not that same person. I'm not the same person who was 1 month ago. Yeah. So when you are able to achieve clarity and you are able to identify, and that's, would recommend sit down and identify your core values, you will find inner peace and tranquility like no other. And then you'll be able to summon the strength and courage to pursue your dreams. So on that note, I want to kind of like do an exercise with you to find, you know, help break that procrastinating behavior, the inner voice that we have, because you have to drown out everything that's around you. You have to talk to yourself, right? And what I want to do is help you meet your higher self and keep that in your perspective every single time you falter. And once you meet your higher self and know exactly what he or she looks like, acts like, thinks like, it becomes a lot more easier to make progress in your day-to-day life, because decisions become simpler, right? So what you have to remember is that your higher self is you in your purest, most true form, right? The version of you that you just met, when you sit down and think about it, is that person that you already have inside of you, right? It's drowned out by the noise, by all the pressure that we have been through. We just have to be intentional and take daily action to live in alignment with your higher self until your present self matches your higher self, right? So we want to document who you met with each leap forward, right, into the future. This is who you are becoming. So include what you want to, what you look like, you know, where you are with your presence is like, what are you feeling, what are your day-to-day, you know, what are your day-to-day life looks like, and what are you going to do to ensure your success. So these are going to be I am statements in the present tense. So we're not going to write I would be this person. It will be the I am statements in the present tense. So what I want you to actually just take a minute to think about, what do you want your life to look like 1 month into the future? So again, I am statement. And then, you know, if later, if you want to share these with us in the group, or, you know, if you want to send these out to us, we'd love to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if you guys want to put some in the chat box right now, like that would be great to see. I'm going to put mine in here.
I love that, Lala.
Yeah, I'm above and not beneath. I'm more than a conqueror. That's really powerful.
Yeah, I love that too.
I actually speak out loud to mine. So I'm like, hey there, morning, higher self. How are you doing today? I haven't been around for a while.
Yeah.
And journal.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now I know it's not enough time and we don't have like all the time in the world. We could go on forever, but now you want to do the same thing 6 months into the future. What does your life look like? Who are you 6 months into the future?
So we're projecting who we are 6 months into the future and stating that.
Yeah. And I know we're going to be kind of rushing, but I definitely want you to take this with you and do this. And if you find some quiet time, definitely do this, because trust me, if you close your eyes and you think about it, this will break through that, that wall that you have, because this has helped me immensely. Just visualizing who I am capable of being, who I actually am. And I've made like concrete steps every single month, year to be able to get there.
And it's not just about the sort of in relation to the goals, is it? And I am becoming a millionaire. I am.
Yeah.
It's actually really, really thinking about who we are.
Who we are.
I am
and how
joy.
we're aligning with it.
Yeah, I am good. I'm whole. All of those things that people might have told us in the past that we're not.
Yeah.
And sort of, but we don't realize that we don't necessarily feel like that deep down.
Yeah.
And
and that's validation. We'd never get enough from outside. And I remember a Ty posting something like that last week. I was in the gym and I saw that and I couldn't reply to it, but we don't need validation from outside. We are enough, right?
Yeah.
You do something, one tiny thing, pat on the back. You're amazing. Validate yourself.
And we don't do those things, right? Like, think about it. Like, think about it. Like, so as children, we probably get the pats on the back sometimes and maybe not, right? But then as adults, who gives us the pat on the back? And we're looking for it from other people. And we just realize like our hand is closest than anyone else's. And there's nothing wrong with doing it, right? There's nothing wrong with saying, I love you.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having, and I like to say, hey, having a little bit of an ego. You guys may have heard me say, sometimes I'll walk around the house and I'm just like, hey, Ty, you are freaking incredible, right? Like, who says we can't do that?
We should. We have to be our biggest cheerleaders before anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what you'll notice is sometimes you'll get the I've done it so much where at first I would get the looks like, what's going on here? Do I need to call someone? Right. And then you do it so often that it's, okay, he's just bigging himself up. He's just giving himself some props here. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next one that I want you to kind of sit down and think about is, what does your life look like? 1 year into the future, my life looks like I am top of the world, or whatever you want to write down. So that is a question that you want to sit down and think about, because again, you are starting to visualize that higher self, right? The next thing would be, how does it feel to know? I'm going to put this in chat as well. How does it feel to know that each of those realities, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, it's possible? It's 100% up to you.
Yeah. Those are two very powerful statements that you just made. Number one is that it's possible. And then it's just 100% up to us. Like if your I am statements are, listen, one of my I am statements, and it was just, I wanted to wake up, right? Feeling just good, just like feeling great, like just being in a good mood, because I was not a morning person before. All right, years ago. And I'm just like, man, I want to just wake up and just enjoy the day and making that transition. And now that I think about it, so here's the other thing is, once you start to make the changes, don't forget, because then that helps you to make even more changes. And also don't forget like the things that you overcame, right? So like, I love this.
Can I just say also, because the chat's moving so quickly, I just want to pick up what Cynthia said here. And she said the change happens in the heart and not in the mind. We talk so much about mindset, but it's actually it's heart path. So, you know, the whole mind heart coherence thing, isn't it? Because you know what I sometimes think, I think when I've had like really big, amazing things happening, I haven't taken massive action. They've come from creation, you know, they've come from the spiritual practice. And so many times we're thinking of, okay, I want to become this in 6 months. And it's like, okay, what actions do I need to take to get there? And that's obviously actions important when it's inspired, but we don't, and I'm guilty of this. I don't often take enough time at the start of the day to just prioritize the spiritual action, because all the creation is going to come from the heart, isn't it? Whereas we tend to we tend to sort of talk about, these are my goals and let's visualize what I want, but we're literally creating it.
We think that it's systems and to-do lists and checklists, and we think all of that is going to help us get to our goals. Well, we don't. What we need to realize is that we are the biggest, you know, roadblock to our, you know, getting to our goals. So unless you fix that, nothing's going to change, or it's at least not going to move at the pace that you would like it to move, right?
Absolutely.
So the next thing that I want you to, and I'm typing that into the chat again, because I don't want you guys to miss that. So what beliefs and actions will you need to take in order to make your higher self a reality? And now we're not talking about checklists. We're not talking about to-do lists. What are we going to do in ourselves? And what actions are we going to take? What beliefs are we going to change about ourselves? Right? That will make you get closer to your, you know, higher self.
So what beliefs and actions will you need in order to make your higher self a reality? Yeah, that's a great one. And I really like that, because what happens is, as you start to develop these beliefs and you start to think about them, you start to have counter beliefs as well, right? You go back into, it happens to me. Listen, I could be talking and doing a KCF live or anything and talking on Zoom. It actually happened to me the other day when we were in a sales team meeting. And what happens? You start to get nervous. Your mind says, oh, you're not great on video, or you're not a good speaker. All of these crazy things, and you have to have this boxing match with your mind. And you're like, no, not at all. Like, okay, let me catch it and go back.
Yeah.
So I love this. I love that part.
And then the last thing would be that, what are some current beliefs? And you want to write this down. What are your current beliefs and actions? And these are the voices Ty just talked about that are preventing you from embodying your higher self. So you might be feeling like your higher self is too different from your current self. That's full embodying everything you wrote is hopeless. It's not, because you wouldn't have been able to you won't be able to visualize yourself that way if it isn't possible. It is totally possible, right? So look at the space between your current self and your highest self as an empowering growth opportunity, basically, not an overwhelming journey. It's an opportunity for you.
It's a repositioning, right? Not looking at it as something that's impossible, overwhelming, but more of an opportunity.
I'm going to get there. You get from here to there, one day at a time, one decision at a time, one thought at a time. Literally one thought at a time. And it's
So-
a process. We have to battle so many demons. It's crazy.
No, let me ask you a question. How important is it for us to be forgiving with ourselves? Because here's the thing, like, right, you're working on an exercise like this, you're breaking through, you're looking to meet your higher self. And then there's going to be days when you're not consistent, right? There's going to be days when you look at the weights and you're like, I know I should be lifting these damn things. I've got them right here in the bathroom. It's convenient, but the hell with it. I'm not doing it today.
Yeah.
Right. And then after you walk away or later, you're like, geez, I didn't. How important is it to be like, you know what, it's okay. I messed up. People mess up every once in a while.
Yeah. Okay. There are two ways of looking at this, right? One thing is, the first thing is you mess up one thing, right? Don't mess up your whole day because you messed up that one thing. Right? That is like huge, because what we do, like, you know, we've all done that. I don't know if you have, but I do it all the time. That's the way. I cheat one little thing. I take a bite and then my whole day is a cheat day.
Yeah.
Right? So it's literally like you go down that spiral. So don't do that. If that you've done that one thing that is kind of like not aligned with your goals or what you needed to do, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Just take this day. Don't let it become a pattern, but don't beat yourself up and it's like, I'm terrible. And don't do that. Do not negative self-talk. That is the worst thing we can do to ourselves, that I'm terrible, or I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fat, or things like that. We can't do that. That's not going to help us.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's so important, isn't it, at the end of the day, to actually write down the things that you have achieved and how incredible you are, you know.
Yeah.
It could be going to get some shopping, you know. It doesn't have to be business related. And yeah, I'm really hard on myself, but I tend to sort of soften it by saying
you know, Caroline, the thing, you know, basically what you're saying, being hard on yourself, that is, do this higher self exercise once again.
Yeah, I do.
Right?
Yeah. And it's brilliant.
And then when you've met and gotten to know your higher self, use this to make your decisions easier,
and make peace with
when
it.
you're faced with a tough decision and when you're lacking motivation, we have those days to execute on your goals or whatever you need to do. All you have to do is ask yourself, right?
Yeah.
Simple question: what would my higher self do? And it works like a charm. I mean, some days I'm like, shut up, but most days it works like a charm.
Yeah.
And most of the time it does. So simple question. It has power to guide you and clear a path.
It does.
To your goals and dreams. Yeah, it just opens it up.
Or I think use the terminology that you want to use in relation to that. So I say inner being. So if I'm feeling fear or whatever, angry, any of those sort of emotions that aren't going to serve me, I always say, how does my inner being feel about this?
Yeah.
You know, how does my inner being feel about this person that's, you know, being rude or whatever? My inner being loves that person. I'm like, okay, really, can you not see what I can see? And it really helps to
it takes practice. It does take practice.
So how does my inner being feel about the fact that you're so busy today, Caroline? You don't, you know, your daughter said she's hardly seen you. My inner being saying you're doing good, and it's not like this every day. So it really helps, because then you can start to then the more you connect like that throughout the day, then the more you become the inner, you know, your higher self, the inner being. Because I think what happens is sometimes you're over there, inner higher self's right over there, and a lot of people live like that all their lives, don't they? And I don't think you can be there. Obviously, you can't be there all the time.
You can't be there all the time, but you have to make a conscious decision. If you guys, any of you follow Mel Robbins, like when she talks about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's
we were talking about that on Wednesday, on Monday's call.
Like, that is like life changing. That has, like, for the last 1.5 years since I've met Ty. After that, it's been a crazy year because my father passed away right after due to COVID and everything. So I have been using this to go through life every single day since then. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the conversation with my higher self. That's what's kept me going.
Yeah, I was just talking about that's been part of a process that I use to become a morning person is the 5, 4, 3, 2. Do you guys remember the conversation on Monday that we just had? Right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom, I'm out of the bed. There's no such thing as a snooze or hitting it
Yeah.
or anything else, right? It's just out and then right into the shower, right into brushing your teeth or whatever it may be, so that you get those actions going in.
Yeah.
Noah, before we move on, I want to talk about something really quickly, because you talked about like we kind of went into asking what would my higher self do, right, in this situation. But I want to make sure that everyone understands what you talked about initially, and that is being super clear on who you are as your higher self. Because you get into these situations where you have to say, okay, well, what would my higher self do? And if you don't know who you are clearly as the higher self, then the answer is really clouded.
Yeah. And that's why those 5 questions, they're still super important. And those are not something we can rush through. I want you to take them with you and just sit down and visualize and then write, because it's a deeper exercise than this, something, you know, we would need a lot more time on, but this is something that has to come from within you. So unless you know that person, you're not going to care who the higher self is, like just another being, you know, kind of a thing. So you don't want to do that. And one thing I saw in the chat, and I definitely want to address that, and that was, George, you said you tell yourself, get off your butt and do your work, slacker or something. Don't call yourself a slacker, because do not associate negative words with yourself. I would not advise that, because that's how, you know, we attach guilt with our goals.
Yeah. So true. I mean, I remember being at one of my son Tyler's basketball games. This is in 10th grade, 9th grade, a couple years back. And they're practicing, and I'm at the practice first time here. And one of the kids makes a shot. He tries to make the shot. He misses it. Tries to make the shot again. Misses it. Tries to make the shot again. And he says, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. This is a kid. He had to be, let's see, my son was probably about 15 years old at that time. Right? And I'm in the bleachers, and I see my son go over to him and is like, hey, no, man, you just got to keep trying. Right? But think about some of the things that we learn at an early age that we carry on with us. I was shocked to see the kid say that, so shocked that I actually wanted to go in and talk to him afterwards. Right? But think about, like, how does a 15-year-old get to that point where he's saying something like that? What's the influence around him? And then do we carry that later on in life? Right? So being very careful as to what we picked up earlier, and then how we're still carrying these same suitcases and the baggage with us when that trip is no longer even valid.
Heartbreaking when you hear a child, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was heartbreaking. Yeah. Really? You know, so.
Yeah. So basically, you know, learning how to ask yourself that question, going back to like that, what we were talking about, higher self. Someone hurt me and it's tempting to stoop to their level. What would my higher self do? Or, you know, I don't want to do my laundry every day. But what would my higher self do? Right?
Outsource.
I don't feel like working out. So again, do those questions, visualize, kind of let it steep in it, and then start using it. It's gonna do, you know, wonders, because learning to ask yourself that question in any situation, it will train your mind to think and act, you know, in alignment with your higher self. And that's how you get there step by step. Every time you do so, you are putting your long-term goals before your ego, your fear, your doubt, right? You more and more you can live in alignment with that higher self, and the more you are actually becoming her or him.
Yeah, and it's daily practice. Daily practice. It's not like a college degree that you're done after 3 years and then you're healed. and it's a bit like, you know, in Joe Dispenza, we talk a lot about Joe Dispenza, and he's favorite of mine, and when he talks about becoming the old reality and becoming a new personality, that's, you know, it's not really a new personality, it's just really who you are. It's your connection with your higher self, isn't it? It's just that we become a completely different personality over the years if we are, well, I was going to say if we allow ourselves to do, actually unaware. I was only started to become aware of this stuff in my 40s, you know. Great that you identified it earlier than that. So it's that awareness that actually all of that, all those people that have said those things over the years, all those beliefs, they're not the reality. They are not, it's not real. It's just down to other people not connecting, like your, you know, your pet, you know, what you said about your family. It's down to other people not connecting to their higher self over a significant period of time. And for some people, they're never going to do it until
they're never going to do it. They're just never going to.
They don't know. They're not aware of that. It's there, right? So it's
nobody told them.
No, and after, you know, after they've gone, they're like, oh, damn, that's what it's meant to be like.
Yeah.
My parents, mum and dad, was like that, you know, and then it's very hard to influence. You can influence, but it's very hard, isn't it, to then teach. That in a way they've just sort of pre-paved it for all of us, and then hopefully we make it even better for our kids.
What we can do is, like, again, as you said, teach this to our children, because, you know, we can't fix the elders in a way.
It's interesting.
You know, I mean, I am this person, and I feel I know so much and I can help so much. And my siblings don't see me in this light. They're like, yeah, whatever you're talking about, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one.
I didn't mean to be rude, but that's why I see my sister 4 times a year, you know. Gracious. But
that's why I don't see my family. I didn't see my family for 3.5 years.
You're not, trust me, I'm not. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation that we could have.
It is. Yeah.
But even when you are teaching, and, you know, I keep thinking, you know, I want to be the best I can be. I want to be the best influence. And, you know, I mess up. And my Maliha, who's super got it sorted way before I did, you know, at the age of 17. But she said something the other day, and she's like, I'm not very good at remembering things and remembering quotes, and I get so confused all the time. I just get confused. I'm that sort of person. I said, oh, that's an interesting thing to say. Well, what does your inner being think, Maliha? And she sort of reflected, and I said, why don't you write down what your inner being thinks about this? That's what you think about it today, or maybe up until now, but what does and so she wrote, okay, my inner being thinks I'm a badass, you know, I'm beautiful, I'm amazing. She had like 4 pages of notes, and I'm clever, I can decipher information. And then she's got that then, and that will just help that muscle, if you like. You know, and isn't it fabulous when you're discovering that as a teenager? And many of us have discovered that in sort of 30s, 40s, late 20s, when we have kids, 50s, etc.
Thank God for us being their parents. They're so lucky.
Yeah, they are.
They are. So you definitely, you know, they're lucky. They're like lucky. Cool moms. And dads. So just want to recognize the dads as well.
Mums first. I'm joking.
Mums first. So guys, like, when you do this exercise, what I want to do, what I want you to do is, like, write those words onto a sheet of paper, like Post-it, note card, whatever, and tape it somewhere where you'll see it every day. You know, bathroom, mirror, fridge, planner. So they can serve as daily reminders. I don't want to go into the, because I don't know, everybody has like different beliefs, so I don't want to go like woo-woo and kind of stuff like that. But that is, you know, you will start showing up that way more and more, and that is a huge exercise you can actually do, because you'll start embodying it. It'll become a habit because you have it right there. So you know, I have a money goal in front of me that I've put, that I'm going to make this every single day, because this is so important for me. So but put these, like, your higher self, that's totally off topic, but yeah, but put what you have found out about yourself, who you are, put that in front of you every single day, look at it and repeat it to yourself. If you're not big on manifestation, I definitely know affirmations work like a charm.
100%. Yeah.
100%.
In all areas.
All areas.
Right. In
Yes.
all areas.
Yes.
Goal setting and affirmations work in all areas. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Listen, I'll give you some examples really quickly. My first daughter, my oldest daughter, is not by my wife, Melora. Right. We both came into our marriage with 2 children. They were 2 years old. My daughter at that time, her mom was very in a bad place. Right. So I wrote up affirmations and the goal to get full custody of her. Right. And I set a date and I set a time, and it 100% worked. Affirmations and a goal to improve on my health, 100% worked. Affirmations and a goal to improve on who I am as a person, it 100% worked. Affirmations and goals to improve on my financial situation, it just everything.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. So sometimes we think about this stuff from just a money standpoint or a business standpoint. It works in every area possible. And Norm, maybe one day we do a call, one of these woo-woo calls, because I used to be
sure, I would love that.
about, putting some of my beliefs out there. And then I eventually got to the point where I'm like, the hell with it. Right. Like, whoever doesn't like it, so what? Like, this works for me. It works for my family. And then so like writing things on my mirror. I keep one of these glass markers, right? So my bathroom mirror, I've got my goals, my affirmations. So that first thing in the morning, boom, I see it, right? Sticky notes in the car, on the dashboard, on my desk, in the bathroom, right?
Very
because
powerful.
What happens is consistency. You don't need to hear and see this stuff once a day or once a week, or God forbid, once a month or once a year. It has to be there consistently. So I know we're running late on time. We got like 3 minutes until top of the hour, and I want to be conscious of everyone's time. But this was incredible here.
Can I also ask, could you write those? Could we just summarize those 5 questions again? I know most people are writing notes. Can we put those 5 questions in the chat so people can go away and sort of get on with this piece of work?
Yeah, sure. I'll grab them.
Do you know, talking of car stickers, this is, and I always look over at Lee when I'm talking, because Lee and I are like, kindred spirits when it comes to Abraham Hicks. Heart sisters, that's what we say. We one of the things that Abraham Hicks says, and it's very powerful, is that she does sort of car stickers and things, dashboard stickers. And one of them is, you can do it either way, but you could either say under the influence of, or what am I under the influence of? And I do this all day. So if you can actually see it, it helps to remember this. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, but I get so busy and focused. Action. I'm a massive action taker, have been all my life. And the challenge for me is to do the spiritual, make sure that's just as big, a bigger priority. And I get lazy with it. I'm, that's an affirmation, but I have to make sure I do it. And so every single time I'm saying to myself, or looking at these different stickers, like, what am I under the influence of now? Under the influence of what? Am I under the influence of my higher self, or am I under the influence of Caroline, the old,
or someone else?
Someone else. But what am I under the influence of? I'm under the influence of anger. I sometimes feel that, especially if you think about the past, so don't do that. Under the influence of fear. I'm under the influence of, and for one for me is, I'm under the influence of thinking it's hard action for money. That's it isn't. It's inspired action. And so it's like under the influence of lack, that is. So it's very powerful if all day, like, what am I under the influence of? Oh, glass of wine. Oops. Abraham Hicks is always careful about the influence.
Yes, but again, guys, like right now, where like Caroline is talking from, and where I feel like I do have like some modicum of control what I feel is control or how I think, but it's going to be a journey. It's like one step at a time. So don't let this overwhelm you, because that biggest reason we are doing this is so you do not get overwhelmed and then put everything on the side and not take solid action on what is a goal for you. So that is the reason we did this whole thing. And we want you to like sit down and really think about this. And again, if you had some aha moments or, you know, anything you'd like to share, definitely would love to see if I like changed even one small thing in how you do things or in your life, inspired you in even a tiny bit of way. It'd be so huge for me.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you, Nora, for coming in. And guys, remember, like, you'll hear consistency when we talk about this stuff, right? It all works. The methods could be a little bit different. The words that you use could be a little bit different, but it just has to be done. I think the other thing in closing is that you have to have time every single day to yourself. Nora was talking about being in the gym, right? Like being in the gym, or you'll see me on the trail often, or just having time when you're just to yourself. Blaise Pascal used to say, all of man's problems, all of man and woman's problems could be solved if he only allowed himself enough time to think, to sit alone quietly and think, right? So we often think that we have so much to do, and we don't give ourselves 5 minutes, 10 minutes to sit alone and just think, right? So that alone helps big time. Nora, this is amazing. We got to get her back for a second call. Let her know in the chat box, what did you think of this session right here, so that we could show her some love and some gratitude.
Yeah, let's give some love. So we've got the great session, been super powerful. Michelle said, thank you for sharing those important tools with us. Yeah, everyone loved it. Thank you for sharing such great inspiration with us today. And also, you know, guys, we always say this, but go ahead into the groups, into the Fast Pass group and the main group if you're in both, and give a shout out for Noor and today's session and how awesome it has been. I'm thinking group meditation now, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't it amazing how like timely? I see so many people who are saying like, I needed this week, or this was right on point. Like, once you start to become aware of this stuff, what you'll notice is that the signs are all around, right? And you'll see things just when you need to see them, or you'll hear things, or you'll be presented with someone or an opportunity just as when you need to see them. And if you guys are having a hard time understanding who your higher self is, like this is a practice, an exercise that you should do immediately, right? Today, like don't put it off. Think about, what would a 3%er do? You're part of a 3%er group here for a reason, right? What would a 3%er do? What would my higher self as a 3%er do? And consistently keep that top of mind, right? Write it out. Be clear with it. Go back to it when you have these moments of, again, being just regular and being a human who is full of emotions, right? Because the emotions are the things that control us big time. So, great call today, Nora. Wonderful. Everyone wants to do woo-woo call, so we're going to have to do a woo-woo call as well. So,
did you download the chat, Nora, as well? Have you downloaded the chat so you can see all the testimonials for you? There's so many amazing comments, and I've caught one that went. Where did it go? Olivia, this has been life-changing. I truly feel for the first time, thanks to you, that I have an idea how to move forward with my life and be more motivated now. That's big, isn't it? This is exactly what I've been looking for a long time now. So thank you.
Very cool. Very
amazing.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah,
thank you.
Wonderful.
I'm actually going to save the chat as well here. So Nora, you want it, if you did not get a chance to save it, let me know and I'll send it over on Slack. All right, guys, we'll see you. Have a great day. You are now empowered. If you're just waking up in the morning, like, you should be jumping around in the kitchen. Like, your family should be like, what the hell is going on with this person right now? If it's nighttime, I feel sorry for you, because you're probably going to have a hard time going to sleep. It's like me going to the gym or drinking coffee at 7 or 8 o'clock. And if it's in the midday, then listen, go in and spread this, but share it with someone else. Like, when we give you guys this, when we get a guest like Nora, or if Caroline's saying something, or if I'm saying something, we're not sharing it with you just to keep to yourself. Share it with other people. Now, here's the trick. The trick is sharing it with people that are receptive, right? That because I used to want to share it with everyone, and not everyone's at the period where they're open to receiving it. So there's going to be people that are open, and some of those people might be total strangers, right? And just showing them some love in a simple way. Hey man, I love how that hat looks on you, and you know, I see you showing up in your higher self today. All right, guys, have a good one. We'll see.
Go and talk to your highest. I'm going to have coffee with my higher self now.
Yeah,
it's going to
there
be a
you
good
go.
conversation.
Great conversation.
Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you on Friday. Thank you so much. That was
in
amazing.
North Carolina. I'll see you on a team call. And just
oh yeah, I'll get the right day today.
Yep. All right. Yeah, today's Wednesday. All right, we'll see you.
Taco Tuesday.
Bye-bye. Hey, also one last thing for those who came in late. If you're over in like Europe, I know that you guys have had a time change, so you probably are wondering why we're ending so soon, but that's it. Noah, did you have a time change as well, or you didn't? Okay, so certain areas, right? So
Eastern changes this Saturday, does it?
It does. Or
so
Sunday,
I'll go
maybe.
back to normal. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so Q&A time tonight. Gary Westbury is asking.
Oh, it is, Gary. Yeah, thank you. It's been a busy week since the 5-day challenge. We're bringing lots of people into the micro office. We still are. So I'm a little bit late in putting a reminder in, but the Fast Pass coaching call, group coaching call is tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. 10 for me, that's right. But I'll put a post with a link, but it's the same link always. But I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys there.
Evelyn,
thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
So again, guys, just take note, if you've had a time change, then also transfer that over to the Monday morning meetup call, because like Jane, I think Jane, who's in France, she kind of missed, she came in late and she thought we didn't want to let her in. But I'm like, oh, no. Okay, so, all right, guys.
We always let Jane here.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.